I'm here, I've got 30 minutes, probably allow 5 minutes or so for some questions at the end, but I'm here really to prevent some of your businesses from extinction and to introduce you to a world of social selling. So just go back a stage there. What you've got there is a diagram illustrating the way quite a few businesses are currently set up. You'll be familiar with the term business silos. It's very overused at the moment. And we've got a few new infographics, we're practicing what we preach, that really show where businesses are at today, where we're all operating in silos, where marketing, HR, sales are not communicating with each other, maybe they don't even exist, and what we're trying to evolve towards doing. So we're not here to preach simply about tweeting and taking advantage of hashtags, but some fundamental changes to the way businesses are structured, to the way they communicate, to the way they hire as well. The sad news for some of us is that we're seeing the slow demise of the traditional salesperson, not just the salesman, but often he's depicted as a salesman, often called Mr. Pale, Male and Stale, who may be over 50, who may be white, middle class, and who may not well be in touch with this new world of social. And why might that be? Simply because of the power of all the social channels that are out there. Many of you, most of you I would guess, are smartphone enabled, you've got your iPads, you're able to do the searching and the recommending and the requesting of information, so the power is with you. And if we take just one platform alone, which is LinkedIn, I'm sure most of you will be familiar with it, very, very powerful in the business to business space. It's 13 years old, 13-year-olds are allowed on it, although the majority really start it when they graduate, when they're at sixth form, when they're actually looking for a job. But today you've got over 400 million users of just one simple social media platform. I'm not going to spend too long on any individual platform, but it's really to say that this power of a digitally connected world is changing the way that you buy, the way that you sell, the way that you recruit, the way that you look for a job. And so take, for example, this talk. So I'm speaking to, I'm guessing 70 or 80 of you, maybe a bit less today. Some of you will take something from today, some of you may be sitting here tweeting, some of you will hear some of it will resonate. But my team are here and they're tweeting, they're taking a video of it, it gets made live on our website and it gets posted on a platform like LinkedIn. So I can post it to my contacts, and there are 5,000 of those, but equally I could go into a group like Kent Vision Live's LinkedIn group and post it to hundreds of members. I could post my video of today's talk to a group of digital marketeers and it could reach 10,000 people. You could be retweeting using the hashtag Kent Vision, hashtag Kent Business and so on. I use social business as well, or even hashtag Kent, and that could trend and go out virally to tens of thousands of people. So that's the power, simply put, of social selling. So I'm not just relying on knocking on doors, going out and hoping I get 20, 50, 100 people on our stand. We may get 70 inquiries, but I'm actually taking control and going out proactively to the people that I want to go out to. And I'm building trust and credibility through this talk and through taking that wider out to the wide world. So that's just a quick insight as to how we practice what we preach with a talk like today and having an exhibition like today. I've spoken to a few people on our stand this morning who've said, they're not exhibiting, they are here visiting, can they justify the expenditure? If you simply pitch up and have a stand and hope people will come on your stand, you're not going to make the most of it. It's that pre, during, post, it's that nurturing of relationships. That's what you're here to do, and that's what social selling is about, rather than cold sales, hard sales, and one-way traffic. So this is the old school, the old style, traditional sales funnel, a bit like the traditional salesman. This has been around since 1924, and it's being turned on its head. I can make these slides available, by the way, via our website for people to download if that would be of interest. So it's evolved. We've used a funnel like this over the last few years. where again, it's not just about pushing sales leads in, it's about being discovered, it's about integrating in with search engine optimization, using PR to build credibility, using video marketing, content marketing, and so on. And that's all about people discovering you, coming to your website, finding testimonials and videos of other people who've used your services and so on. So they realize that need, then they consider you, maybe they purchase from you and so on. But that's radically changing. This funnel is radically changing. The simple reason being is that we're seeing such technological and social progress. This slide just covers what happens in an internet minute, from thousands of Tinder swipes for those of you in the dating game, for Uber rides in your taxis, to Vine uploads, to new platforms like Periscope, to the tweets, the LinkedIn posts, and so on. So that's what's happening in a simple 2016 internet minute. But unfortunately, side by side with all of this social media that's been around now for 10 years or so, is all the technological progress with robotics and artificial intelligence, and some scary facts. We're seeing all over the world now, driverless cars are being trialled in the UK, we're seeing robotics, we're seeing some startling statistics that say by 2040, we're going to be replacing big chunks of the workforce. So if you're burying your head in the sand about the things I'm talking about today around tweeting and LinkedIn and social selling, get prepared for what's coming down the line, because it's massive. Maybe we're going to have to speed up space exploration and head off to Mars because, maybe the Earth is going to be taken over by these robots. But, it is quite worrying, but it's also really exciting. So keep up to date. The internet's 25 years old, and what's coming down the line in the next 25 years is going to blow your minds. And it's not just, I see some different ages in the room here. I'm 49. There's people here my age and above, and there's lots of you younger. This is not just the domain of young people. I've got teenage kids. They know how to use Tinder, they know how to use Snapchat, they're on Facebook and Instagram, but they don't know about business goals, they don't know about content, they don't have business contacts. When you get trained and you know how to use these platforms, whatever age you are, it's powerful. So don't think this is the domain of your kids or your grandkids or your nieces and so on. So the simple fact is, like I said before, you've got your smartphones, brands like Zoodica's, brands like any company, any of you in the room here, you've lost the control. The power is with us consumers, because we can research, we can look for that job, we can ask our friends face to face, we can ask our friends on Facebook to recommend, we can do bad and good customer service and find it. So someone was on I think it's Virgin Trains, in the toilet, no toilet roll. He tweeted Virgin Trains, they came along, knocked on the door and handed him a replacement toilet roll. That's the power of it. That can be used for good, like helping someone out in dire need, but also for bad, if things spread virally and they're negative. So, we're fundamentally changing the way that, we do business. So over 75% of these purchases are happening online now. And that's really powerful. And that's what I want you to really take away, is this different way that people are looking to get business from you, looking to look at your sales funnel, looking at your products and services, and the giving of pricing information and that knocking on doors and cold calling still has to happen, but it has to happen a little bit later. And you have to be a bit more patient and build those relationships and be very proactive with the kind of business that you plan to go out there and do, rather than sitting back. Because you will encounter today and over social media lots of people who are interested in you, and you're never going to do any business with them. You have to be patient with those people, because the power is in the second degree. The power is in their networks. So take the time to speak to those people on that stand who you think might be time wasters. They may have access to a whole wealth of people that you could actually do business with. So it starts at the top. We're talking here about not just CEOs of major corporations, but MDs, owner managers. It's no good just pushing this down to the junior people in your organization. It's got to start at the top for the reasons I mentioned at the beginning. which are, you don't just use this for broadcasting your jobs or broadcasting your beds that I've seen over there or your social media training. You've got to use this to build brand advocates, to get people to do the selling on your behalf and to nurture those relationships. Maybe it's to find staff, maybe it's to find an investor, maybe it's to find someone who's going to acquire your business. So that doesn't come alone from just kind of going out there and selling. You've got to build thought leadership, and that comes from good content. So ultimately what we're trying to do is to get all these departments in an organization, even if we're talking about 2 people or 5 people, it doesn't matter, they might not be departments, they may be people, but they've got to communicate. So that slide at the beginning, I'll show you one at the end, which is today's social business. We start with, like an apartment block with different windows, everyone in their own little world, not communicating. And that means integrating sales, social media, CRM, SEO, PR, video marketing, networking, exhibiting. It's all got to be part of a grand plan. And that plan has got to be very proactive with you going out there, finding the right people to do business with. Not all of those skills are going to be in-house. So I think you have to be prepared, unfortunately, to invest some time and money in training the people you've got in these new skills, or actually in outsourcing it, whether that's, sometimes people have made the mistake of pushing it down to somebody very junior. Sometimes they're prepared to pay for the right kind of expertise. So find people who can help you, or train the people you've got internally, or hire the right kind of people. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there are so many incredible tools at your disposal, from dashboards like Hootsuite, from all the SEO tools, CRM packages, they're all there. And so marketing more than ever today is so measurable, as is sales, as is PR, as is video marketing. So you need to take back control and factor all of that into the planning that you're doing. And all of it sounds like I'm saying, I'm speaking here to a number of you. The phone's not going to ring at Zoodikers tomorrow just because I've delivered a speech, even if it trends and it reaches thousands of people. So I have to send out e-shots. I have to go on the radio. I have to build relationships. I've had business from here after doing this 4 or 5 times in a row, sometimes 2-3 years down the line. Of course, my business would go under if I relied on those to happen 2 or 3 years later. But in the meantime, e-shots are going out, you're going out to networking, like I say, you're having it videoed and you're doing all of that. It's a lot of work. It's not for the faint-hearted. There will be some businesses that don't have to do all the things that I'm talking about. There'll be some businesses that aren't as super ambitious as others. There'll be some where in certain sectors like manufacturing and some hard engineering sectors where this isn't really taking off quite as much. And so that traditional salesperson may be still very, very valid. But in the wider world, in a lot of business sectors, and I've worked with football clubs in the last months and years, the police, schools, universities, banks, they're all realizing that they need to train their frontline staff to use social media for customer service. They need to use it for sales. They need to attract the right staff by being progressive companies who use these platforms. So it's not just about sales. So ultimately what we're really talking about here is cold selling dead. We're having to take this new approach of building the know, like and trust factor, which is a little bit slower, but very, very powerful. So take, for example, doing a bit of public relations, media coverage, using a PR agency like us, or an in-house comms person or PR person. And so you might get an excellent piece of editorial coverage in Kent Business, or in the Law Society Gazette, or in the Solicitors Journal, whatever it might be in your industry. You get that coverage. It doesn't stop there. You don't just tick a box and say, fantastic, our PR agency have delivered, we've got a bit of coverage. You might create a blog to support that. You might embed a link to that online editorial coverage into that blog. Then you might use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to say to people, hi, it was great to meet you at Kent Vision Live. You may have read about us in Kent Messenger, or you may have seen my talk. Love to come and talk to you. I see you're doing something similar. We've helped a couple of law firms in a similar space to you. So you're using the credibility that comes from a talk like today, or the credibility that comes from a piece of editorial or a piece on the radio to get that foot in the door, to warm up that sales process. Then you might go out to that networking, and like me, you might say, yeah, great, I'm Katie, I'm at Zudicas, I regularly commentate on BBC, and you subtly drop that in so that you build some credibility. And then ultimately, sales still might not happen, so I've got to then send out those e-shots. I've got to reach out. So I trained a bank recently, I won't name names, but I trained 100 managers in one bank. I got back a couple of days later, I reached out to 3 or 4 more banks. And I said, I don't know if you know, but I've been training X bank over the last month, helping them do X, Y, Z. Let's talk. Instantly got a meeting with one of them. So it's being proactive, but not just knocking cold on a door as people do to me and say, let's connect, professionally stalk me and find an excuse to do business. So join the same group as me on LinkedIn, comment on the fact that we were both at Kent Vision Live, find an excuse to get to know people and build a relationship with them. So, how long have I got? 15 more minutes. So 8 phases basically. It's a very detailed graphic, I'm sorry, but it's you won't be able to read it all, so I'm going to take you through 8 slides that explain what it is. So this is the customer journey in a social business world, and it starts with awareness. So it might be somebody who's actually looking to buy a photocopier, for example. So what do? They search. So they actually search for that, they Google it, and hopefully they find some interesting information about you, that photocopier company, your products, your services, your good reviews, editorial coverage, case studies of customers using your product and so on. Yeah, so hopefully your marketing and teams have done a good job with that to make it such that you come higher up the rankings. If you've got good editorial, if you've got good social media, when he searches, you're going to come further up the rankings because social media is having an impact on that SEO. The next phase, discovery. So you're in that search phase, you put it in and hopefully they actually find you. So you're building awareness, and you're actually being discovered, and it's all linked in with the SEO and so on. So this is where we're at. So in that first phase, they're identifying a need, you're building brand awareness. In the second phase, they're discovering and they're researching, and hopefully they're finding you. In the third phase, they're doing their analysis. So they're doing their comparisons, they're asking people, they're looking at product reviews, they're checking you out online. So social media is about you looking good online. So it's having all that kind of information clearly, readily available on your website. They may never find your website. You've got to go and put that information in places where those people hang out, whether that's a LinkedIn group, a chat room, editorial in a magazine, at a conference, and take advantage of the hashtags that are linked to that. And then they're filtering. So again, they're finding, price might come into it, but other factors may come into it as well. So yes, you may be beaten on price, but maybe you've got much more credibility, or maybe you're someone they'd much rather do business because you've built a bit of a relationship with them, and that's still important as well. Yeah, so there we are. Phase 3, that prioritizing criteria, and phase 4, narrowing down some alternatives. Yeah, phase 5, they're scrutinizing. So again, they've got that opportunity. Maybe they want to speak to some of your customers. So not just ending it when the sale happens, you need to have ongoing good relationship with customers. You want them to become your brand advocates. You want them to do testimonials and so on. Yeah, so hopefully the marketing team, internally or externally, has got some good, fresh, regular, lively content that's happening out there to make that job easier for them. Now they're actually engaging with you. So, this could be a significant purchase. It may require meetings. It may require a lot more in-depth opportunity. Your sales team's going to get involved at this point. Hopefully they've built relationships. Hopefully they've got good LinkedIn profiles. In my mind, the salespeople are turning into marketeers, and the marketeers through automation tools are having to become smart salespeople. So all these roles are really kind of mingling into one. Yeah, so that's where we are so far. And then we're into the final 2 phases. Decision time. Maybe they don't go to you. I've had quite a few pitches in the last few years where people have gone to other people, but they come back. Sometimes they go to somebody else because you're undercut on price, and it's very, very satisfying when they come back to you 3 or 4 months later. You stay in touch with them even when they say no. I've had candidates who've not been successful at interview and they don't even reply to the email. 6 months later, you may have another opportunity. If they'd stayed in touch, on LinkedIn, and they didn't burn their bridges, they could have been in that job. So people are very short term in the way that they do things. So stay in touch with people, build those relationships, be friendly, be likable. So all of that good content is there to actually help you do that job. And then we're into purchase time. So we're nurturing sales. We're hopefully converting it into a sale. Once we've converted it into a sale, we're doing customer loyalty and account management. Maybe we're doing client hospitality, upselling, cross-selling, And then that could take us back to phase 1, which is educating them about the wider portfolio of products and services that you have. So ongoing with existing and new customers and existing and new staff and existing and new partners, we're constantly telling people directly at conferences, through social media, what we're about, why we're different, why we're better. So, as I said before, this is not just about sales. Today's been about social selling, but the message is that this is about social selling and social business. So many of you will need to evolve into becoming a business that takes advantage of digital for social selling, for HR, and for all those wider business functions. And that looks something like that. So in the first graphic at the very beginning, everybody was there in their little pockets and their little silos. And now they're sitting around the table, they're analysing on their iPads, obviously on their desktops as well. They're looking at automation tools, they're reviewing Google Analytics, they're looking at what their CRM's doing, and they're looking at how that impacts management, how that impacts their marketing, how that impacts their HR, what that means for their customer service, and all of those business functions. Okay, so that's really my main message to you is not to be fearful of it, not to think that just by being at this show and tweeting and posting it's enough. It's not. It hasn't changed the fact that we still need to go out and go to networking. Look how many people are here today. It's really important to build trust, to see the whites of people's eyes. But you could reach 100 people on your stand today, times that by 10 or 20 through the hashtag. Go and join them on LinkedIn groups and turn that into tens of thousands and bring them back. That's the final call to action, really. My call to action is for you to have a call to action. And usually I don't have one. Normally I give all this best practice and I don't give any call to action. So I'm going to make sure I do it this time. So this is me. Zudikis is my company. I explained, we're one of millions of PR and social media agencies, but we practice what we preach. As a result of all of this good content, I got found by radio and TV, and so I regularly commentate. 7 years ago, I was fearful of this world. My business partner wasn't interested in it. I went and got trained. 6 months later, I was training Saatchi, Police, Arsenal Football Club, and many, many others. So you can do that in your businesses. It's led to a stepping stone of influence to TEDx, if anyone's familiar with that, and so on. So some certain clients, we work with lots of small businesses. We train lots of big businesses. Santiago's here videoing it here today, goes out and videos, Grant Thornton, Kent County Council, Thanet, schools, universities, but we work with lots of startups and small businesses as well. So we're on the stand around the corner. Come and speak to us if you need any help. And if you need any help, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. From a simple training course, talking 100 or so pounds, we're not talking thousands of pounds. Get trained. If you need it, there's some business consultancy that can be done by the hour or by the day to help you evolve into the sort of businesses. or I can train your people internally to do this, or we can do it for you. So that's my sales pitch, unashamedly, because I don't normally do it. So thank you very, very much for your time. Does anyone have any questions, or would anyone like to make any comments or share any of their own best practice or their own horror stories? Or have I scared you all off? Yes, hi.
Can you touch on the scary prospects of social media for those who don't?
You want me to explain what they are? The scary aspects? So the scary aspects might be you run a restaurant and someone finds a hair in their soup. Yeah, 5, 6 people, the tables nearby might hear about that, but they might take a picture of it, they might post it on social media, they might do #bad customer service. One of the banks I was working with, I was showing them, this will blow some of your minds, but it's called Boolean search. Their operators, the words AND, and or. If you type into search engine or into, say, the search box in Twitter, the name of your bank or the name of your brand, AND in capitals, #bad customer service, you'll find it. So the bad stuff might be someone who hasn't had their pay rise, who's very upset with you, or who leaves, posting all over Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram about you, and that potentially trending. Might be, like I say, bad customer service trending. That's very limited, that happens rarely. For people who pull the shutters down because they think that's going to happen, you're missing out on all these other amazing, real, tangible opportunities that I'm talking about. So, in the horse meat scandal, and all the big brands have problems like that. So everyone, we're funny British people. I think we love the working class person, we love people on their way up. The minute we get there, everyone wants to knock them down again. So the minute you get quite successful, I don't mean me, I mean the minute you get quite successful as a big company, people are there to knock you down, and unfortunately social media can highlight that. But that's why you've got to have good products and services, be very transparent, have good staff, look after them, do good business, have integrity, and you should be fine. Haha. Any other questions? How are we doing? Got a few more minutes. No? Does it frighten some people? Are you worried? The biggest one, everyone worries about time. People say to me, I don't have time. It's fine, you say this, I've got staff to manage, I've got accounts to do, I don't have time. So what you have to do is look at where you spend your time now and how is that impacting your business. Is that delivering? Is being at that networking or advertising in that journal or doing that certain kind of activity, put that under the microscope the way you put under the microscope all these new areas. Because I tell you, everything we're doing now is so measurable, and all the old school ways of doing things are not as measurable. If you free up time by not doing some old school things, you'll make time for some of these things that need to be done. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Thank you.